here hates spoilers? Who here hates spoilers so much that they actually keep a jar in their house called the spoiler jar? I hate spoilers. I hate spoiling a story is, of course, giving away plot turns, secrets, and worst of all, the ending, which my children, or possibly I, or my husband had started doing. So my kids made a giving away the ending jar, which we had on our kitchen counter for many years. But I cannot stand it when I find out too early what's happening in a story. Last time I threw a Christmas party, I actually put no Star Wars spoilers up in a sign instead of mistletoe. And I have a friend who reads my books, which is fantastic, but she'll read the first page and then she'll turn to the last page and read that. It drives me nuts. I asked her why she does this, and she said it's just that she cannot stand the feeling of the churning acid in her stomach. So that's why she needs to know the ending before she reads the rest of the story. I said, this is completely unacceptable, but how many of you do that? Anybody else here do that? Okay. Psychologically, it apparently doesn't spoil the story, but you're on my list. I do have to fess up, when I'm watching true crime, like Discovery ID or Dateline or something, if it's one of these stories like, who killed Mary Jo, and then like her sister is being interviewed, I'm going like, was she arrested? Was she arrested illegitimately? What's she wearing? Is she wearing a twin set in pearls, or is that a prison jumpsuit? Is it orange? I mean, I'm just desperate to find out what actually happened, and I will go online and look up the resolution of the case so that I'm not too worried about poor Mary Jo's sister throughout the rest of the hour. But I want to talk about why spoilers get to us. What is it about storytelling? What is going on when we experience stories, and how we get so involved with them. So basically, why do we love mystery? How do storytellers create mystery? And what is the mystery of storytelling itself and of story? Mystery. Why do we love it? I was originally a lawyer, as Ben mentioned, so we like to define things. I'll start by defining mystery. According to the dictionary, mystery is something that's difficult or impossible to understand or explain. The mysteries of life, existence, the universe, or something that's secret and strange, something that's puzzling or unknown, and in my case, a novel, play, or movie dealing with a puzzling crime, especially a murder. Now, why do we love mysteries? Well, number one, human beings are nosy. We are inquisitive. We are curious. And that's why we like to find out what's going on in a story. You know, we like surprises. We like hints, clues, puzzles. We like gossip. We like explosions. We like shiny things. We're attracted to all of them. And we love vicarious thrills. This is why we will read a mystery or a thriller or a suspense novel or watch Die Hard or an action film. It's taking us places we would hate to go in real life. In real life, we hate crime. We love crime fiction. It lets us vicariously touch the dark side a little bit, feel like we're getting a little exposure to the underbelly of society, that we've rubbed shoulders with outlaws and gangsters in a very safe way from our couch. We can close the book and put it down at any time. The same way with a thriller. The whole point of a thriller is it has to thrill. It has to make your pulse race. It has to make you hold your breath and really like claw the edges of the couch sometimes to wonder what's going to happen. And an author who does it right is taking you through the story like you are riding a roller coaster, but it's all very safe. If it's a good author, you know that you are in hands that are going to take you back to the end of the ride safely, to give you a satisfying landing, and you'll come out feeling rewarded. As a writer, writing thrillers is so much fun because I get to slingshot people into all these places that would terrify them to go in real life. You know, like the kid's in danger, go! You know, I say thank you. There was another sadistic killer on the loose. Yeah, awesome. If people say that my book kept them up at night and gave them nightmares, I'm like, thank you. So that's why we love mystery. How do writers or any creators actually create mystery? We start out with secrets. the thing that we do is that we withhold information. We start a story, and we don't give the audience everything they need to know to understand what's going on. So we ask a question, we don't supply an answer. We pose a problem and don't supply the solution. It's all about dribbling out the information appropriately to keep the audience running along like, I won't say lemmings, hamsters, glorious rabbits, I don't know, following and eating their treats as the story goes along. Thrillers as well are about people facing extreme danger, facing the worst crises of their lives. Their world's been turned upside down and some danger or chaos has invaded their world, and they need to find a way to escape, restore, bring their family, their community to safety, and put the world back together. You invoke curiosity and concern. Curiosity, like I said, is just inquisitiveness, wanting to know what's happening. This is the traditional way of getting people to read a whodunit, a murder mystery. Agatha Christie, Sherlock Holmes. It's a puzzle. You don't know why this crazy dog has been seen on the moors with foaming at the mouth. Is it really some kind of a specter, or did they really just put phosphorus on its teeth? That will get people reading along to try to solve the puzzle to get ahead of the master detective. But in Sherlock Holmes stories, we're not really concerned that Sherlock Holmes is going to be emotionally damaged by the case. We don't think that he has a personal stake in this. He is at it for the intellectual thrill. And that's what a straight murder mystery will do for you as well. As an author, if you can also invoke concern in the audience, make them concerned about the characters, that will deepen the experience, bring people even more tightly into the story, and make them want to know what's going to happen to these people who we're reading about, because the story matters to them. It's going to affect their family, their career. Are they going to get the girl? Are they going to fall off the cliff? Is the whole city going to break off and wash away into the sea? I used to talk about this in California a lot, but not quite so much in Austin. But if you can evoke concern, that takes any kind of story to the next level, and will make it even more satisfying for your readers. So great characters are always what's at the heart of any story, whether it's Die Hard or Pride and Prejudice, really. Suspense. I said keep them hanging. This is a trick, but it's also a very deep trick. Suspense comes from the Latin word suspendere, to hang up, and that's what the writer does. It keeps, the writer's a hangman. We keep the audience dangling, wondering what's going to happen at the end. So what we do as writers is we try to needle the audience with anxious uncertainty and keep them guessing about what's going to happen next and how events are going to turn out. Now, this goes all the way, this isn't me, this goes all the way back to Aristotle, who defined suspense as, he said, suspense consists of having some real danger looming and a ray of hope. Two things can happen. Either the danger hits, in which case the audience feels sorrowful, or the hope is realized, in which case everybody feels happy and satisfied. But those are the building blocks of suspense. Hitchcock said suspense happens when the audience has a superior perspective on events compared to the characters, but is powerless to intervene. And he gave the example of a scene that can be played two ways. The first has no suspense, the second is a very dramatic one. The first way would be two men having lunch at a cafe. And you just see them sitting at a table, chatting, and then at the very end of the scene, the restaurant blows up. That's a surprise, but there was no suspense. You're probably saying, like, why are these guys just sitting around here just jawing? The second way would be to open the scene with a view under the table, see that there's a bomb planted there with a timer ticking down, then have the men come and sit down and start talking. In that scene, the audience knows more than the characters do, and they're like, oh my God, get out of here. Why don't you know that there's a bomb? Why doesn't somebody reach under the table? Please make him drop his napkin. So he looks under there and sees that the timer is down to 10 seconds. That actually is what puts suspense into the scene. Now, a writer's duty, writers are troublemakers, by the way. We're supposed to keep you off balance, supposed to keep you feeling unsettled. That's what helps make you keep reading or watching. I mean, if grandparents are there to give you cookies and tuck you in and make you have a nice, quiet end to the day, writers are supposed to make you keep turning the pages, worrying about what's going to happen next, think that something even worse is going to happen as soon as you turn the page. So the writer's duty is to set up a scenario that cries out for resolution, and then totally scrub that. Then act irresponsibly. You head in another direction, go to another point of view, another scene, deal with other issues, and then exacerbate the reader's desperate need for resolution. So we raise the stakes and we make them wait. I don't remember who said it, but I think it was a film director said, you can make them laugh, you can make them cry, but you make them wait. You try to hold off as long as possible on giving the answers, because that's what will keep people watching, reading, listening along to your stories. And of course, as you go along, you're trying to build up the stakes, build up the revelations, build up all the problems. Initially, if the characters set out and there was a problem that they had to face, maybe the consequences, if it went wrong, was they would be embarrassed. Then things get worse. The stakes are raised. Now the consequence might be that if they do this wrong, they'll lose their job. The next thing that can go wrong, the stakes are even higher. Maybe they could be injured. And finally, beyond that, of course, there's the issue of maybe at the end, their survival is at stake. So you're constantly raising the risks, raising the stakes, raising the problems that can happen for a character as they take the chances that they need to try to do as they rise to the occasion. And of course, you save the biggest revelations for the end. That's where you reveal who done it. You know, the body has fallen out of the cabinet at the start, or you know, Mary Jo came home and there's her sister on the dining room table with a spatula stuck through her heart, or something, and you don't know who done it until, you know, the very end of the story. But there's a way to do this even in stories that don't rely on a final reveal of a secret. This is why what we call dramatic irony works. In cases where suspense, where we as an audience have superior knowledge to the characters, it can still be very suspenseful. This is dramatic irony is where we know what's going to happen before the characters do. It's like Sunset Boulevard. It opens with the film writer floating dead in the pool. This is why Titanic is always a great story. I hate to break it to you, the boat sinks. You should have looked that one up. But dramatic irony, we know exactly what's going to happen. This is why the People versus O.J. Simpson worked so well at the moment when the verdict was read, before the verdict was read. We know what's going to happen, but you're desperately concerned about all these characters who don't know what's going to happen. You're filled with concern and compassion and dread for them to see how they're going to react and what's going to happen. And of course, in Titanic, you're wondering, was there room on that raft for both of them? I don't know. So who's going to survive? Who's going to die? And what people actually how they respond when real life hits. What is the mystery of storytelling? I said I can't stand it when a true crime story is on and I don't know the resolution. That's not what bothers my friend. She feels the churning in her stomach, the acid, because it's fiction. So why is it that fiction causes that same reaction when we know that fiction is actually just something that has risen from an author's imagination? Story in itself is a journey, a character's journey told through conflict. The story proceeds through cause and effect, action and consequence. A story is not a series of events. It's not this happens, then this happens, then that happens, then that happened. The story is this happened, which throws the whole world of the character out of balance. Because of that, the character reacts, and therefore this happens, but because of that, somebody pushes back, and the character goes in this direction, and therefore that happens. So it is all push and pull, action and consequence. This happened and then this happened is what I did on my summer vacation. That's a book report, that's a school report. A story is our family started out on our summer vacation and this is what went wrong. That's a story. So a story starts with what we call the inciting incident. It is what kicks everything off. It is the event that radically upsets the balance of forces in the protagonist's life. and causes them to have to go out and seek a way to restore balance, create a new balance, set their world aright, basically. The secret of story structure is that you want to have a strong, active protagonist who has immediate goals and is desperate to obtain them and will fight to get to them, even against strong forces of antagonism as the world and other people push back. You can't have a character who says, oh, the meteor's coming, I think I'm just going to sit here and open that 12-pack of Pabst and see what happens. You have to have someone who says, no, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find a space shuttle and I'm going to fly up and I'm going to get rid of the meteor. What happens when you have a good story that is well structured is we become immersed in it. Have you heard the phrase suspension of disbelief? Anybody? Okay. This was actually a phrase created by the poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who said that while we are reading, watching, listening to a story, we accept it as poetic truth. We step aside from the real world and we psychologically agree to believe in the world of the story while we are involved with it. So that lets us believe that there is Middle Earth, that there is, that Katniss Everdeen is really going to win the Hunger Games, that John McClane is going to be able to take Hans Gruber down from the Nakatomi Towers. We are in it. That is what allows us to go along on this journey with the characters. Now, I said hero, heroine, antagonist. You have to have a strong hero, strong heroine. There is no story without forces of antagonism. That's just a stroll through the park. A story is only as good as its antagonist. And antagonism can be internal. It can be like crippling fear of public speaking. It can be the feeling of unworthiness that your mother told you were always going to be bad at public speaking. Or it could be personal fears that you're unworthy of winning the hand of fair maiden or handsome knight. It could be exterior. It could be the villain, another person who has goals that are just as strong and powerful and immediate as yours, but they're at cross purposes. It could be political, social, sweeping global forces that carry you along, but something always pushes back against the hero and the heroine. Now, I will say that I think that having a personal, a personal antagonist, a human being pushing back is always the most emotionally involving. My son corrected me about this, though, as I gave him this little talk once. And he had to write an English paper. He said, yeah, Mom, that sounds good, but the best antagonist in history was that asteroid in Armageddon. So what are archetypal stories? There are reasons that we talk about structure, hero, heroine, antagonist, and that the stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that this works. This form always works. It always has worked for millennia. That stories are archetypal. Now, some professors will tell you there are 22 stories. Some will tell you there are 7. John Gardiner, the novelist, said there were 3. A young man sets out on a quest, boy meets girl, and a stranger rides into town. Yeah, but from those we get the quest story gives us Arthurian legend. It gives us Avatar. And since we're in the 21st century, a young woman setting out on a quest, it gives us Fury Road and Furiosa going out in a war rig across the desert. Boy Meets Girl gives us Cinderella and Gone Girl and Ex Machina. Those are all versions of the story. Stranger Rides into Town could be every Jack Reacher novel. It's high noon. The bad guys are coming in on that train. Or it even could be Jaws. Stranger Ride swims into town, but you get that point. Story these are archetypes, and they are endlessly resonant and endlessly provide us a way to tap into that and to be creative. Stories are reborn every generation. We always come back with a new coloration, with a new twist, with a new, a new sound to the stories as we move through different societies, different ages. But the same stories have been going on since people were painting on the caves in Lascaux. Story itself is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for life. Story is about the human condition. It teaches us how to live. Story says life is like this. As Robert McKee says, story is a creative demonstration of the truth. So the mystery of story, why the churning acid comes back when we're reading fiction or watching a suspenseful movie. We hate spoilers because they cheat us of the excitement and the challenges of going on the journey with these characters. They can spoil they can give us the answer to the puzzle, which is just annoying. But they rob us of the ability to anticipate, to think, to try to figure out what is the character going to do next, and hope that the author is going to still surprise us by doing something special. We want the ending to be a surprise. We want it to be a satisfying surprise, the kind of surprise that, okay, here's one more spoiler, the kind of surprise you get at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. Where, for 2 movies, Luke Skywalker's been told that Darth Vader killed his father. That has been his whole driving, raison d'etre, is to get Darth Vader, the man who killed his father. And at the very climax, Darth Vader says, "Do you know what happened to your father?" And Luke screams, "You killed him." And he says, "No." I am your father. And at that point, Luke's whole life, the bottom just drops out of his entire life. Everything he's built about himself, his purpose, his, everything. So it completely changes the story, because now he not only has to defeat Darth Vader, but try to rescue him as well. Stories are journeys, and when they're done right, we don't just go along on the journey with the hero and the heroine. We are the hero and the heroine. And that's the mystery of story. By engaging with mystery, the way we flip through a new book, we allow our lives to expand. We all engage the unknown, but stories show us ways to navigate the journey. I tell people who want to write, I say, make it up and tell the truth. If you write a story, you can break the laws of physics, but it doesn't matter as long as it's emotionally and morally honest. And that's the basic magic of storytelling, is authenticity. And there have been plenty of civilizations that had no technology. But in human history, there's never been a civilization that didn't have stories. We're, at heart, we're all storytellers. So make the most of it. All right, so thank you.